Welcome to this year's 28th Academy of the Arts Lifetime Achievement Awards, which benefits our very own Guildhall. It's being held this year at the Plaza, right here in Manhattan, and we're very excited to be honoring this evening four incredible people. One is Nathan Lane, then we have John Alexander, we have Walter Isaacson, and lastly, Mickey Strauss. And we're going to have an evening in front of us with each of these people receiving their awards from incredible people who are also stars in their own right giving these awards. And we're going to have the MC of Marshall Brickman. So stay tuned. You're in for a blast. Enjoy. Well, here we are at the cocktail hour before the big gala begins, and I was lucky enough to lasso my friend Christina Strassfield. Welcome to the Plaza. Usually we're meeting out east in the Hamptons, and here we are. You look gorgeous tonight.
Thank you.
So tell me, who are you wearing?
Who am I wearing? Actually, it's a creation that my mother made, and so I'm so thrilled to be able to be wearing it here for this evening. So it's very special to me, yes.
I think that's a first for an award ceremony, that my mother made this, and yet it's one of the most stunning outfits here tonight. You are lucky.
Thank you, yes.
And I guess in your domain, we have John Alexander being honored. Are you thrilled?
I am so thrilled because, as you know, we're going to be having an exhibition of his work starting June 15th and running to the end of July. And so it's a great treat that he was also awarded this great Lifetime Achievement Award from Guildhall. So it's a special year for John and for Guildhall.
Absolutely. And here we are drinking the vodka that he designed the bottle for, which is of a skull's head.
Wonderful. I just love it. I think it's really fascinating. And you can see where it does have that character of John in it because, you know, he does have that sort of somber and that a little bit dark side to him. So it's just really exciting. I love it.
Yes, it seems very dark to me too, although I was reading that with Dan Aykroyd, who is very much a spiritualist, they feel that the skull is a sign of life, not of death, which I never knew. So there's a whole sort of spirituality that they're into that I'm going to find out about. But meanwhile, I'm tasting the vodka, and it is the best. Try it.
I will.
Guess what? Next, they're coming up with the cone head as beer.
I would like to see that one as well.
Okay, we'll have a toast and go out and have a drink together. How's that?
I love it.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Have a great time tonight.
Thank you, Michelle.
You look gorgeous. Enjoy. Usually I like to give an interview going into great depth, but you're off the hook tonight. I do know a bit about you because I've researched you. But tonight it has to be short and easy. So this is Walter Isaacson, the very, very gifted, talented man that we're so honored to have here, who is being honored tonight, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
In researching you, I see your great interest in geniuses. And what led you to want to do that?
I like writing about the life of the mind. I like writing about what's creativity. We all know a lot of smart people, and smart people tend to be a dime a dozen. They don't always amount to much. What I like to look at is creative smart people, people who are imaginative, who can think different.
Yes, like Einstein, Benjamin Franklin.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs, that's the most recent, and that was a huge bestseller, obviously. But also, you are the chairman of the Aspen Institute,
Right.
and CEO in the past with Time Magazine and also CNN. So I expect you to be about 120, having achieved all you have. How do you get all that in you're still a very young
I
man.
hate to tell you, the reason I can is I don't watch TV that much. If you have the whole evening free, you get to write books.
So is that your secret? You in the evening, after a day's work,
After
you come
dinner.
home and you write.
After dinner, I love writing. It's a great hobby.
And what's your process? Do you do it by hand or computer
No, I
or
certainly
tape?
use a computer. I certainly use a computer.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you managed to get that done in the meantime. And I heard you were interviewing Steve Jobs for 2 years, correct?
I spent a couple of years with him. He wanted to get his story out. So I went out there, spent quite a bit of time at his house, taking long walks. That's the way he liked to do it. It was real. I felt really fortunate that he wanted to get his story down. So.
I heard about that he liked to take long walks.
Yeah. So you have Ken coming up next. Right?
Well, okay. I know I could go on and on. You can
Thank you
tell
so
this
much.
is the sort of interviewer I am.
Yep. All
Thank
right,
you.
good to
Thank
meet-
you.
good to
Have
meet
a
you.
great
Thank you.
time tonight.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We have Ken Auletta here with us tonight, and we're so honored and proud to have you here. And who will you be presenting to?
Walter Isaacson,
Is he a very dear friend of yours that you've known a very long
an
time?
old friend, and I'm really proud of his great success.
Yeah, isn't he amazing? Well, back at you. Your success is unbelievable. I was just over at a friend's house and happened to have your new huge bestseller, your latest book, I guess, on Google, and you spent numerous weeks out in California researching that. A couple of years.
I didn't spend years there, but I
Right.
in and out of Mountain View, California, for a little over 2 years.
It's amazing how it's changing the world, isn't it?
Oh, it's an amazing company. It's fun, actually, when you come from an old media business like I do, and you suddenly enter this other planet. And you learn so much, including you learn what engineers do, which is a lot of things that disrupt the rest of the world and also make it better.
Well, you have an incredibly curious nature, I would say, both politics and business. And what do you do for fun when you're not, or is that fun?
I go to Guildhall, I sleep, I eat.
And you've been married quite a long time, right?
Long time. Actually, Walter's agent is my wife,
No.
Pinky Urban, yeah. And so we're really, we go back a long way, all four of us.
That's
he
wonderful.
and his wife.
And where did you grow up?
Coney Island,
Oh, near.
another island like Long
Yes.
Island, only a little poorer than that.
Yeah. Well, I find that, and you went to a high school which has many, many hugely successful people who came from that high school.
Abraham Lincoln High School.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks went there.
Right.
Neil Simon went there. It was I was a little pisher compared to them.
Do you consider yourself a self-made man?
Well, usually when the term self-made, it usually applies to millionaires, which doesn't apply to me.
No,
But I work. I basically write, and a writer is fairly lonely existence. You're out reporting and interviewing people. You're not lonely then, but when you sit at your word processor, it's just you and your fingers.
What is your process? And then I'll let you go have a good time. Because as you can see, I like to get into things. It's hard for me to scratch the surface. But with your writing day, what's a typical day for you with your writing when you're not interviewing someone, let's say?
I get up at 5. I read the papers, have coffee.
At 5.
Yeah, but this way I get 5 papers. I get it all out of the way. By 7 o'clock, I'm at my computer.
Do you read the hard copy and get your hands dirty, or you?
If the paper's not there, it usually comes around 5:15. I'll start online.
Yes.
I'll check my email too, and then I'll start writing. And part of the discipline of writing is to say, I'm not going to keep checking my email. So you want to isolate yourself, and if you can, I don't always succeed at this, but I try to. I say I'm not going to check my email till 11 or 12 o'clock, and that gives you just a clip of time to write.
It's very important not to lose that concentration. It can break it in a moment, the wrong email that comes in, right?
Well, it's just anything can break your concentration. Phone calls can break your concentration. Eating, I like to be near my refrigerator. That breaks your concentration. But
So-
sometimes you want to break your concentration. You want
Right.
to kind of wander around and say, how should I begin this new section of this piece or book? And so the refrigerator is a refuge.
Understandable. Well, you stay in shape, and you're certainly a very handsome man,
Bless you,
as
bless
well as everything else he has going for him. Congratulations to you on tonight, and enjoy. We have here with us John A. Walsh, who is a lifelong friend almost of John Alexander. They go back 30 some odd years. So welcome, John. 38 years. You have stories about John that he's not going to share with us.
I hope not. But I wanted to say this. From Beaumont, Texas to Bristol, Connecticut, where ESPN was sucked into the John Alexander money machine artist vortex, from devil may care to devil's eyes as art, from wandering nomad to the comfort of Fiona and Harrison. John is truly the man for all seasons, a man whom we all admire in so many ways, and we always lift a glass of Crystal Head in his honor.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you. And in fact, I have a glass of Crystal Head over here.
Of course, you
It's-
must. It's a requirement.
And we had a wonderful chat a few minutes ago, you and I, about John. And you made me ever so curious to get to know him a little more informally, because I know him as a man about town in Amagansett. He's always on his best behavior. You know him as a guy.
man about town, always on his questionable behavior.
Much more fun, I'm sure.
Looking for trouble and finding a way out of it at all times.
Well, as I said, he's a fellow Scorpio. What can you expect? We Scorpios are a little wild.
Well, please, I don't want you to share that with me at this moment.
Okay, I promise not to. But where do you hail from?
I hail currently from the land of sports with the company known as ESPN. Originally, I hail from a small town in Pennsylvania called Scranton, PA, and in between, I've had stops at 31 media companies over 47 years, and enjoyed it all.
Are you yourself a huge sports fan? And if so, what's your favorite one?
It's kind of like picking your favorite child. I can't do that. But I do love sports. I grew up on sports, and I've always had a passion for it. And I would have never dreamt that anything like ESPN would have ever existed when I was a child. But lo and behold, there it was. And because I was out of work so much in my alleged adult life, I managed to find a way to get to ESPN, which has turned out to be the center of the media sports universe.
Congratulations. And I'm sure you get lots of honors yourself, but it's very nice of you to be here to support our John.
Well, there's nothing better than to support John and bring out the best sports in John.
That's a deal.
So thank you.
Thank you for
Enjoyed it.
stopping
Okay.
by.
Bye-bye.
I really appreciate it. Have fun. We have with us now the wonderful leader of Guildhall, Mickey Strauss, and he is receiving this evening the award for leadership and philanthropy. And Mickey has been on the board of Guildhall. I'm with LTV.
Yeah.
I haven't had much to drink yet. Since 1992, correct?
Yes, amazed.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you've been the chairman of the board since about 95, right?
Right, exactly.
And you've raised, I think, $15 million or more for the
For the-
renovation.
Right. And now 2 endowment funds, one in my name and one in Louis Coleman. So,
Oh, Louis
and-
B. Coleman.
yeah, and we raised about $1.5 million tonight to pay off the debt. So we
Wow.
raised almost $3 million tonight.
Tonight,
Yeah.
in one night. This
Yeah.
man is amazing.
Well, not me.
So generous.
My friends
Yeah.
come to my defense.
Yes. And I understand that you had the American Ballet Theater in your backyard
Yeah.
recently.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I was chairman of ABT
That's
many
right.
years ago. Yep. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And MoMA and Dartmouth. So
Yes,
lots
you went to Dartmouth,
Yeah.
right? And then Harvard for graduate school, if I have it right.
good memory. Yep.
Yeah,
And,
well educated, obviously, and handling other people's money so brilliantly, and
right.
Guildhall's money, and
Thank you.
leading us all to the place we're at now. And I understand you were the founder of the institute at Guildhall.
The Hamptons Institute.
It's called the Hamptons Institute.
Right.
It's a little bit like the Aspen Institute or
maybe.
TED Talks.
A baby.
Yeah.
with like them, all the
Yeah.
yeah.
it's phenomenal because we have so much talent, and to bring it all together and give us the opportunity in our little hometown to go and hear these brilliant minds talking about everything, right?
And now the opera is sold out. I'm so proud of Guildhall.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, Guildhall is proud of you, Mickey.
Okay, thank you.
There's so much affection toward this man and your wife.
Thank
And
you.
all you've done, and tonight is a great big night for you. So I won't
you
hold
so
you up.
much.
Have a beautiful
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Lots of love. You're the
Bye-bye.
best.
Thank you.
Okay. With us now, we have the wonderful Andy Sabin and his beautiful wife, Amy. Welcome to the Guildhall event tonight. You having fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing is I've been in touch with Mickey Strauss throughout his illness, and the greatest thing is seeing that the tumor has shrunk, and he talks unbelievable. The best he's talked in 6 months. He looks fabulous, talks well, so that's what's got me the most excited about this event, seeing how well Mickey's doing.
First things first. I mean, if you have your health, you have everything. And to see this man being able to express the emotions how he just did now, and very beautifully and articulately, it was very touching. Yeah.
Thanks. But he's a friend for a long time.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
Very generous, and he lives for Guildhall.
I see it.
We
I see
raised
it.
a lot of money, and he's got a big match going here, either 3-1 or 5-1 that he's doing tonight.
Tonight. He was talking about tonight and how much
Julie.
money, hey Julie, they're going to be raising just in one night alone.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to have you here. Are you and Amy often at Guildhall events, I bet, supporting them all the way?
Come as much as we can.
Yeah. Well, you're two busy folks
When we're in
on the
town.
go. Yeah, I know. I know. Well, we're great fans and admirers of all you do. Back at you for everything you said about Walter. Back to you. All the best and
Thank
good
you.
health. Take care and enjoy the night. So good to see you again.
Hi, Michelle. Mwah.
Great to see you. Do you realize we meet this way secretly every year? I
Yeah,
think
but-
we could start Plaza Suite.
We could get a room.
We could get a room, and Neil Simon would have a ball.
We could do Closet Suite 2.
Well, this is our third time here.
Is this being? No, it's not.
Yes.
You and me, or the?
You and me.
Okay. Well,
You and me.
We
Well,
will
not
talk then.
here. We meet in different locations.
wait a minute. We were at the
Cipriani,
San
St.
and then
Regis.
and we were at the bank,
Yes.
Cipriani, and we
Yeah.
were somewhere else, but not at the Plaza.
No, this is our first time at the Plaza.
And it's exciting.
It's exciting. We
fabulous.
like to go to different places. It makes it new and fresh, right? I wear different outfits.
And exquisite as usual.
Well, thank you. I'm back at you.
Thank you.
How's your life been since last year?
Hectic, frantic.
Hectic.
Uh,
Well, Jersey Boys is still knocking them dead, right?
I know, we can't kill it with a stick, as my mother used to say, and we're all over the world.
Yeah.
And soon we're coming out in other languages.
Are you
coming out in-
really?
yes.
How can they make them rhyme?
Well, the songs are in English.
Oh,
but
okay.
But the dialogue, of course, is ruined by being translated into Swedish, Afrikaans, Korean. It's been an interesting ride.
Oh, how fun. And so it gives you an opportunity, not that you need one, to travel wherever, or do you
No, you don't
do
know
you
me.
go?
It gives me an opportunity to not travel.
That's kind of what I thought.
So many places that I don't have to go to.
Yeah,
that have the
yeah.
opportunity. But anyway, so what do you want to know?
Well, tonight you're the master of ceremonies again, and you're used to that now because you did that last year, and the year before that you were receiving an honor, I believe.
That's right.
So that was easier.
I was feted,
Yeah.
so to speak. Yes.
Which do you prefer? Being feted
Oh, it's
or
easy to get an award. You're on and off. Here,
Yeah.
they're staring at you.
you have to carry the evening?
Well, not
Yeah.
well, sort of. I know it. It was fun. It was fun the first couple of times. I think I've just about exhausted my goodwill.
Oh, we don't think so. We want you here every year.
Okay, I have my hilarious anecdotes here. Well, very well organized, and we'll see what happens if they're a receptive crowd. I think they are.
Oh, very. You have a lot of help tonight because you have some wonderful presenters, and
Star-studded.
it is
We have-
star-studded tonight.
Yes, many bold-faced names.
Yes, I've noticed that. It's dazzling tonight.
Alec Baldwin and Aykroyd and
Nathan Lane, of
Nathan.
course.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. And Michael Broderick is here, and
No,
he's not.
Matthew.
Matthew, I'm sorry, Matthew.
Michael Brown, is he coming too?
That's
his-
his
and his
twin
lovely
brother.
wife,
We
what's
don't
her
talk
name?
about him.
Right.
Oh yeah, that ugly wife, Sarita, right?
Oh no, Hilaria. I meant Matthew's wife.
Oh,
is here too, and for some reason I blocked her name. I hope this isn't
Sarah Jessica.
an indication
Parker.
of Sarah Jessica Parker.
Two of us.
I
Oh,
know.
forget it.
So how are things on the East End?
Oh, they're delightful. You know, you get into the spirit of the winter out there, and you can't stand the fact that people are going to interrupt all that peace.
Yes, I know. This is now just a little bit before. Is it getting crowded?
Not at all. It's at its most listless.
Yeah. The most beautiful place in America.
Do you know that Annie Hall was on Turner Classic Movies last night?
Yeah, I did, but only because the elevator man told me.
Oh, okay. The elevator man and me. That's how we spend our time.
So
But
did-
anyway,
did
it was
you
very
watch it or
exciting.
did you-
Yes, and my husband gave me the greatest compliment. He said he always thinks of me when he sees Annie Hall.
Because,
I remind him of Woody Allen.
well, in what respect? I can't imagine. Except that you
I'm
both have
goofy.
You both have red hair.
No, I think he meant I remind him of the character Annie Hall. I hope.
You mean
I can only
of
hope.
Annie Hall, of Diane.
Yeah.
Of Keaton.
Yeah.
I know. I can't believe that was 1977, which is 40 of 77, 87, 97, 40 years ago. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And here we are associated
Still
with
trying
out
to,
there cooking lobsters,
Yeah.
as
Oh,
usual.
That's right. Anyway, so I'm all out of things to say. I mean, I'll be willing
Okay.
to answer questions. if you
No,
like.
we will save you for all your energy and your voice for
Right, I don't wanna
for
blow
steering the
up.
wheel.
Okay, you're very
Yeah.
sweet.
Well, you look
Thank Michelle.
fantastic. You look
Well,
better
no,
and better
but
every
you-
year.
And you too. That's because our eyesight is getting worse.
That's
Isn't that
right.
what happens? How God works.
And our memory.
Okay. May I kiss your hand in
Oh,
a courtly
please.
fashion?
Please. I
So
even
nice.
polished my nails.
Okay, so nice to
Okay,
see you
love.
again.
Carry on and be wonderful.
Thank you. And now, goodbye.
Can you repeat what you just said, Ted? They
Yeah.
didn't catch that. I want this to go down in history.
Can you believe this beautiful girl is interviewing me on television instead of being a movie star? I don't understand
Oh
it.
my gosh. Well, that'll carry me. You're the best. And this is Ted Hartley, of course. And this is our anniversary because we met 1 year ago here. Well, at this event at a different venue.
Yeah, and we should stop meeting like this.
Right. Once a year is not nearly enough. And actually, we have been meeting regularly, painting with a beautiful group of fantastic people at her beachfront estate.
Well, not only that, we do art classes.
Yes.
And Dina Merrill, art classes are held every Tuesday, Friday, and
Saturday.
And there's a lunch thrown in. You have to apply, but if you're accepted, you get an apron,
Yeah, I have my apron.
and you are welcomed into a group of very talented, not also beautiful, people who are loving discovering their creativity in art. And we all have it. I have it.
He's a fantastic artist as well as an incredible poet. And I hear you're going to be reading at the Marine Museum possibly this summer. And we're all going to be showing at the Peter Marcel Gallery, the Dina and Friends show, coming
That's
up
gonna
in,
be so
in July or August.
exciting.
Yeah.
Dina's
What a
Birds
summer.
and Fishes and all of her art class, including Michelle, are going to be having their art around the wall. And is it for sale?
Yes.
You can buy it if you bring your checkbook. But the prices are pretty high, so don't be startled.
But it's worth it.
I am off on the morning plane to London. I have this terrible cold. I can hear it in my voice. And with Top Hat, which was breaking the records in London.
He's got Top Hat over in London. The Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers piece. Oh my gosh. Next time we go to London, well, I got to go soon. I want to catch it. How fantastic.
It's going to be there for a long time.
Oh, good.
And then a year from now, it'll be in New York, a bigger version.
That is so thrilling.
It's fun.
Because I remember hearing about it when you were first launching it. This guy is amazing. He's got his foot in all sorts of things.
It is so wonderful how life, if you keep moving ahead, as Chinese say, the journey begins with a single step. You make that step and you commit to it, and then you put the next one forward, the next forward, and things happen even though you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a view on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, he inspires me every time I see him, which is never often enough. And tonight is just a bonus because I didn't know you'd be here. I'm so excited to see you.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're the best. Love you to pieces.
Thank you.
Okay, and my
Can I
love
get a
to
hug?
Dina. You get a big
Good. Thank you.
enjoy the
Bye.
evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Ruth Appelhoff, the Executive Director of Guildhall. Welcome to our Academy of the Arts Lifetime Achievement Awards celebrating the works of John Alexander, my far right here, Nathan Lane, Walter Isaacson, and our chair, Mickey Strauss. First, I want to give a special thank you to Ed Blyer, Chair Emeritus of the Academy, who tonight has graciously picked up the reins from Roy Furman to coordinate this wonderful evening. Thank you, Ed. This year has already been one of great excitement and one of sad loss. I hope you will join me in taking a moment to remember our lovely Frida Furman, who passed away recently. We will miss her warm spirit and her gorgeous smile. I would also like to acknowledge the passing of our board member, Ruth Witter, whose passion for music was the inspiration behind Music of Montauk and for bringing the St. Luke's Chamber Ensemble to Guildhall in August. And in addition, we will sorely miss Sandy Lindenbaum, trustee, whose philanthropy reached throughout New York from the Metropolitan Museum to Guildhall. I hope you enjoyed our preview reel. We wanted to give you a quick peek at some of the great performances and events you will be experiencing this summer at your Guildhall, including Audra McDonald on the 4th of July weekend. With apologies to one of our guests, Matthew Broderick, I have a great job. I work with beautiful people, our talented board and dedicated staff, in celebrating many of the most innovative performing, visual, and literary artists of our times. As you have probably guessed, people call a job like mine nice work if you can get it. And I did get it. Thank you, Mickey. It is an honor to work with you. Now on with tonight's festivities. Thank you to all the co-chairs and sponsors, MrPorter.com, there's a gift for you. Beach Magazine, the which will be premiering on Memorial Day weekend, and Crystal Head Vodka, whose support was instrumental in creating this evening. Without further ado, here is Ed Blyer.
Thank you, Ruth. And without further ado, we're going to honor Mickey in a very few minutes. But Guildhall wouldn't be Guildhall without Ruth Appelhoff and the extraordinary job she's done managing it. As Ruth said, I'm pinch hitting for Roy, who is a former lifetime honoree of this organization. And what is the Academy of the Arts? It's the people who are the best at visual arts, whether it's painting, sculpture, design, fashion, or the like, theatrical arts, and literary arts. And we have an extraordinary attendance tonight of former honorees. I'd like to spend a moment identifying them. The first is Roy, who in his new profession as a theatrical producer, along with his daughters and Frida, in the language of his new profession, you are certainly above the title. Former honorees in cultural philanthropy, Alan and Susan Patrikoff. I shouldn't say former, honorees of a prior time. In visual arts, Eric Fischel and April Gornick. Ross Bleckner. Bob Stern, or Robert A.M. Stern, as he's known to his friends. And Richard Meyer, who designed the award that we're still giving out. Former recipient of the Literary Arts Award and a longtime friend of all of us, Barbara Goldsmith. And an honoree in performing arts, Bob Balaban. You will also meet in the presentation a Lifetime Achievement honoree in literary arts, Ken Orletta. And in the performing arts, Alec Baldwin. To re-quote myself in the journal quoting JFK, East Hampton's Academy of the Arts is the best assemblage of talent since Thomas Jefferson dined alone. Our host for the evening is also a former lifetime honoree for literary arts, but he has more notches on his merit badge sash. He won, as so many of our members do, an Emmy, an Oscar, a Tony, and a Grammy. Ladies and gentlemen, Marshall Brickman.
Hi. Good evening. And a BAFTA, by the way. Whatever that is. That's a British Academy Award. Okay, so here we are. Louder? I think we all know why we're here. It's that season. And what season is it? Anyone? Hands? Anyone? Right, it's the award season. And I don't know if it's my age or a virus or something, but this one has been a particularly difficult one for me. Because, let's see, there's the Golden Globes, then there's the Writers Guild Awards, then there's the Directors Guild Awards, then there's the Drama Desk and the Outer Drama Desk Awards, then there's the Emmys and the Grammys, and the BAFTA and the Helpman Awards, that's Australia, the National Board of Review, and I mean, I'm a nervous wreck, really, because if you don't keep up, you're dead. I'm going to get my notes out now. I'll tell you how bad it was for me this year. Actually, this year I missed Purim. And no, really, but because Purim fell on the night of the Independent Spirit Awards. And at times like that, you have to ask yourself, am I a Jew or am I in the business? And I went, obviously, to the thing I was supposed to, and I hope that God forgives me. I'll make it up to him. I was thinking maybe next year, the Purim Awards. And the Golden Hamantash goes to Mel Gibson, maybe, for obvious reason. For keeping the spirit of the Wehrmacht alive in all of our hearts. Anyway, I have been asked to keep things brief, to keep things rolling along, which I will do. But I would like to indulge you, just for you to indulge me for a minute, to wax somewhat nostalgic. And remember our dear departed, beloved Peter Stone, who used to do this for many, many years, and brilliantly and hilariously, and it's a hard act to follow. When Peter passed, Roy Furman showed up at my apartment at 3 a.m. Bearing a tallis, and he put it on my shoulders, and he said, "It's you, kid, from now on." And I haven't regretted it. Anyway, thank you for that, Roy. It's not a totally crazy idea because Peter and Mary Stone actually introduced our family to the East End many, many years ago. And as many of you know, in addition to being a wonderful writer, he dabbled in real estate, and Peter and Mary owned a bunch of rental properties out around East Hampton and Amagansett. And a long time ago, when the kids were tiny, we rented a house from Peter, and believe me, I have 1,000 hilarious anecdotes about Peter as a landlord, none of which you will hear tonight because of the time constraints, except this one, which is my favorite. One day, about the second week of July, I called Peter and I said, "Hey, Peter, when was the last time that the septic tank here was serviced?" And he said, "Who wants to know?" And I said, "Well, I think it may be leaking or overflowing or something." And he said, "Why, does it smell?" And I said, "No, but I have to mow the lawn every 20 minutes. And we both laughed, except for him. Nina and I did eventually buy a house out in Montauk on the bluffs there, and it was wonderful. The kids were growing up. But we did eventually sell it because the kids grew up, and it was a 3-hour ride. And the point of buying a place way out in Montauk was to avoid all the people that you couldn't avoid in New York. But when the town council changed our address from 123 DeForest Road to 2 Million East 79th Street, we knew it was time to look somewhere else. Maybe in Yemen. Okay. Now, in a neck-wrenching 180, I'm going to fulfill my role as introducer as opposed to presenter. To present the Lifetime Achievement Award in the category of visual arts, we are honored to have two gentlemen who pretty much changed, and I mean this, changed the face of American comedy. All the more weird because they're both from Canada. If we were a monarchy, I would be introducing them as lords. We're just a republic, so let's give a nice round of applause to Sir Lorne Michaels and Sir Dan Aykroyd, right here.
I'm going first. It's been my experience through the years that talent and character don't often reside at the same address. John Alexander is one of those rare exceptions to this rule. I won't dwell on his talent as a painter, I'll leave that to Dan, but most of you have seen his brilliance over the years, and of course, we all look forward to a show of new works this summer at Guildhall. I want to talk about John's talent for friendship and his devotion to our community. Johnny is just as comfortable sitting around a table with his friends at the Amagansett Fire Department as he is with his friends here tonight. And I sleep better at night knowing he is my friend and my first responder. John is a great talker. He can talk to anyone and pretty much does. And just about everyone who talks to John ends up with real affection for him. He is funny, he's thoughtful, and he has a true devotion both to his work and to all the people he cares about. There is absolutely no one like him, and I've met just about everyone. Here with more is Dan Aykroyd.
Well, thank you. Lauren. My patron, my boss, Lauren Michaels, and Alex Boss, and a few other people here tonight. You're obviously talking about another John Alexander. That's not who I don't. John's one of my oldest friends from the 70s. Some of you weren't alive then. But don't let that East Texas accent fool you, because John is one of the most intelligent and sensitive, semi-articulate Texans on the planet. That he is one of the most creative and genuinely talented is without dispute. Robert Hughes said it best and simply: the man can paint. It's not only the multiple impressive products of John's career which endear him to his friends, patrons, and associates. John's company is coveted, requested, and often demanded for his sharp, insightful wit, broad sense of humor, laughter, expansive warmth, genuine mensch-like concern, and his smile. However, if you're in John's presence, having been fortunate enough for him to accept your invitation, it will be incumbent upon you and not Johnny to keep him engaged, entertained, and interested. Because Mr. Alexander is very much like one of the gorgeous winged creatures he paints: kingfisher, cardinal, or hummingbird. John travels at an extremely high level of molecular vibration. It is my pleasure to introduce to you one of America's greatest landscape painters, portraitists, sculptors, and industrial designers. An artist whose work is owned or has been shown at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Corcoran Gallery, the Smithsonian, the Houston Museum of Fine Art, the ceiling of my bedroom, and soon the Guildhall. His works delight his contemporaries, who, like all of you, are at the forefront of promoting cultural, social, and artistic advancement. Mrs. Executive Director Ruth, Chairman Emeritus Ed, members, trustees of the Guildhall, executives, attendees, and friends, would you please welcome our friend John Alexander.
Thank you very, very much. It just occurred to me, Danny owns a triptych of mine. It's Pope Huey, Pope Dewey, and Pope Louis, the masturbating popes. And it's literally the title of the painting. I want to thank Dan and I want to thank Lauren for this wonderful introduction. I also want to thank Guildhall and Ruth Appelhoff, and I don't need to tell this audience, but I just have to say briefly what a wonderful institution it is and how much it means to the community on the east end of Long Island. And without places like that, the whole culture and fiber of the East End would be completely different. And thank you all for being such incredible supporters of that. I want to say how proud I am to be with Walter Isaacson and Nathan Lane and with Mickey Strauss, who I have incredible respect for, and I'm especially touched and honored to be here on a night that you're honoring Mickey, which is the man who's made this whole thing happen, and he's kept the ship afloat and kept it moving for a number of years. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my publicist, Ron Delsner. Ron has worked tirelessly on my behalf for over 10 years and has still not been able to get me a gallery. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that I'm sitting at a table with the great personality and actor Alec Baldwin and his lovely wife Hilaria, and say simply that Yes, you can applaud Alec. He's done as much, except for Mickey, as anybody here tonight to help Gil Hall. It's quiet and it's behind the scenes, but he really does work tirelessly for the institution. He cares so much about it that he wanted me to say to you tonight, after we all leave here, that his apartment that him and Hilaria have on 6th Avenue is going to be open to everyone here for cocktails. They have caviar, champagne, and it's 6th Avenue at 32nd Street, 725, buzzer 17. His cell phone Now to be serious for a moment. Being an artist is a very difficult thing. The nicest thing about being an artist is that you don't have to get up early in the morning. The worst thing about being an artist was expressed to me once by the great painter William de Kooning, who said that he keeps his television on and he kept his TV on in his room in the distance so it would remind him that somebody was there because of the loneliness and isolation. And my colleagues here, the distinguished artists that were mentioned that I have so much love and respect for, like April and Eric and Ross, etc., they know the problem of being alone in your studio and trying to figure out how to continue to be occupied and not get to that edge. And I've worked very hard painting the dark side of man and his environment sometimes, and I tend to get way out there. And it's hard for me to psychologically stay sane from time to time in these projects. And the thing that has worked for me and has been so important for me is my friends and my friendships. And I have to say that they have kept me sane and they've kept me sober and alive and normal. And I cannot possibly thank them enough. There's a whole group of them here tonight, and they know how much I appreciate them, I hope. But if not, I have to say to them again and again, to my old and longtime friends and some of my new ones, how much I love them. And last but not least, I want to say how much I appreciate and love my family, which is Fiona Water Street and my dearly beloved son, Harrison, and Coco and Archie, our dogs. So thank them very, very much. They keep the ship from tilting in either direction and keep it sailing straight. And my beloved lawyer, David Berg, who keeps me. I do want to say one thing quickly, though, that being an artist allows you to have some privileges, but it doesn't get you to have your parking tickets and speeding tickets fixed. But being a fireman does. So, and having a lawyer like David Berg does. I love you all. Thank you for supporting Gil Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to present this year's Academy of Arts Guildhall Award to John Alexander. Led Zeppelin will be up next.
Okay, we're just a little bit behind. Our next presenter, I'm an introducer, and I'm going to introduce the presenter. Then our next presenter is a world-class journalist who actually once got Ted Turner in print to admit that the thing that attracted him about Jane Fonda was not her politics. He's written 1 million books. He's had 4 bestsellers. He was named a literary lion by the New York Public Library. He's a movie star, handsome. He makes a mean pasta primavera. Ken, get up here. Ken Ohlett.
This is a really impressive turnout tonight. You should be very proud. It's fitting that one great cultural institution honors another. Walter Isaacson's day job involves running a vibrant cultural institution, the Aspen Institute, of which he is the president and CEO. Because he also serves on the board of many other organizations, Walter has more titles than Queen Victoria. He serves on the Board of Overseers at Harvard, the Tulane University Board, the Bloomberg Family Foundation Board, the Society of American Historians Board, the Partners for New Beginning Board, the United Airlines Board, and until last month, he chaired the board of Teach for America. Walter has to speak very quickly tonight because he's leaving to attend the conclave in Rome with his fellow cardinals. It's said that when Walter was born in New Orleans, he was one of 3 triplets. Together, they won a Rhodes Scholarship, became the youngest managing editor in Time Magazine's history, became the chairman and CEO of CNN, and the author of acclaimed biographies of Albert Einstein, Henry Kissinger, and Benjamin Franklin. You notice they're all short. He also co-authored the seminal foreign policy book, The Wise Men. Walter's most recent book was Steve Jobs, which last year sold more copies than the Bible. In fact, in 2012, it was the #1 best-selling book in the entire world. And what a book it is. We could spend a week talking about how enthralling and how weird Steve Jobs was. Too often ignored is how gutsy Walter was. He had the full cooperation of a dying icon and of his family. Yet Walter had the steel to never forget he was writing a book not to please them, but to please his readers. He wrote a biography that will live forever. Like Steve Jobs, Walter is unusual. He only urinates once a week. He hasn't eaten since 1986. He has 15 identical suits and 1 tie, and he swims for 45 minutes each day. And his assistant swims alongside him, taking notes. In order to play in this year's Artists and Writers softball game, Walter had his left hip replaced. Perhaps you can now understand why Steve Jobs chose him as his biographer. Walter's been my close friend for 40 years, although I do need to make an appointment to see him. People line up at book signings to ask Walter questions, including, "What's your next book, Walter?" His friends have but one question: "Walter, when the hell do you sleep?" Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to introduce my talented and deserving friend, Walter Isaacson.
I hope you all know that about 1/3 of that was true, and only about 1/3. In fact, it was so interesting, I can't wait to hear what I have to say. Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah, wow, cool. It says Marshall Brickman. All right, well. You know, as Ken said, it was almost 40 years ago when I came up from New Orleans and came to work at Time Magazine. I covered the police beat at the Times-Picayune, and I really didn't know much about New York, being a journalist, the literary world here. And everybody said, you got to go to the Hamptons. I was so clueless, I wasn't quite sure what that was, except I thought, well, it's a lot of fancy people. What I found, though, was that it was a community, a real community of people. And having come from a pretty tight-knit community, I really valued how important community could be, especially with Guildhall serving as an anchor of that community. When I first got there, Ken introduced me to Binky, and I went with a friend of mine who I was sharing a house with, Evan Thomas, and we pitched a very complicated idea about 6 unknown people who had together worked on foreign policy in the early Cold War. Binky immediately said, I love it. I know exactly who would be good at publishing that book. She lives across the street. That's what the East End of Long Island was like. We went across the street. Alice Mayhew was here, said, I like that book. I've always wanted to publish it. I already have the title for it. We're going to call it The Wise Men. So if it hadn't have been for this community, I'd probably still I'd be sent back to New Orleans at the now half-defunct Times-Picayune covering police headquarters. I also met my wife in East Hampton. She was a lawyer and working for Mort Zuckerman at the time. Mort would fly her down from Boston in 23 minutes. It took me 3 hours and 20 minutes to get there from the Time Life building late on a Friday night. But it became a significant part of our life, was that community and the friendship of people who care about the arts and care about literature. It's a little weird winning a Lifetime Achievement Award, somewhat disconcerting. Couple of things are disconcerting. First of all, you don't want to win a Lifetime Achievement Award where in your own mind you're still trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And secondly, having been invited to play in the Artist-Writers game on the writer's side, not on John Alexander's side, and having been invited to certain, writers' conferences, a Winning Writers Award, I remember my daughter when she had all the wisdom of a 14-year-old aspiring novelist, and she said, Dad, why are you invited as a writer? You're not a real writer. You write nonfiction. You're not a real writer. And I realized that was true, but I cop a plea. I plead guilty to that. People like Ken Auletta and myself who get to write about other people, get to write about great lives, we really do have it good. We get to meet a lot of interesting people. We get to see people who care about the arts and literature. We get to understand what makes great creativity tick. And that's why I've enjoyed so much being associated with a place like East Hampton and Sag Harbor, in which there are communities like that, and I really am flattered to be getting an award like this. Thank you all very much.
before I introduce, I'm the announcer. So before I introduce Jack O'Brien, our next presenter, I'd like to share something with you about our next honoree. I had always, like most of us, admired Nathan Lane from afar. But about 2 years ago, I had a chance to get a little more intimate with him when he created the role of Gomez in The Addams Family, a musical. And it was sort of a... Thank you, I'm humbled. Nathan created this role, and we had some bumps along the way to Broadway. And one of the problems, as I look back over it now, is that our director was a kind of a twee fellow from the British Fringe, from a British experimental theater, whose only prior experience was having put up a production of Medea in his living room using hand puppets. And suddenly he was offered this $14 million musical bound for Broadway. Now, you must realize starting a musical, a new musical, is like starting a country. It's almost impossible, even if everything is going right. And the clock ticks very, very loudly. So here's what happened. On the first day of rehearsal, everybody shows up, the cast and everything, and Nathan is, I learned subsequently, characteristically, he is totally off book, which means he had totally memorized his part cold. And not only that, he knew the lines of everybody else in the cast who had a scene with him, which is his way of saying, in my sainted mother's words, I'm Nathan Lane, don't fuck with me. I'm a professional. So a day later, I come into the building and somebody says, you better get up to the rehearsal hall and see what's going on. I said, what's going on? They said, go see. So I go to the rehearsal hall, and there's the entire cast, about 23 people, and they're standing in front of the director, and they're doing this. And I say, I'll make up a name. I'll say, hey, Phelim, what do you, oh gosh. I didn't make up a name. I didn't, it's his real name. I said, what's going on? And he says, we're radiating. And I said, what? He says, we're radiating. You see, we radiate to the right, and now we radiate to the left. And now everyone radiate to Marshall. And I look over, and the look on Nathan's face is exactly like the look on the boa constrictor just before he eats the buffalo. And he's looking for his agent's number on the cell phone. Well, true to form, within 2 weeks, the director, just like the buffalo, had totally disappeared, and the only thing left was the accent, which we sent back to London in a plain brown envelope. Anyway, I will never forget that look on Nathan's face. Okay, wait. Okay. Our next presenter is a quadruple threat. He's a writer, he's a producer, he's a director, he's a lyricist. He's won 3 Tony Awards, I think. He's been nominated for 8 more. He does drama, he does comedy, he does musicals, he does straight plays, he does everything. And on the weekends, he puts on a cape and fights crime. So he's like your perfect director. Please welcome one of the staples of the American theater and a real genius, Mr. Jack O'Brien.
Here are 2 ideas designed to strike terror into the heart of the intrepid and the brave. You're going to give an award to Nathan Lane at the Plaza Hotel and open with a joke. Ah! That feels a lot better. Let me explain first that I'm delighted, surprised, and frankly very proud to be asked to do this. And the reason being that if there is a more beloved, well-known figure in the American theater than Nathan Lane, I don't know who it is. But until very recently, although we have been acquaintances over decades, I can't imagine that he would consider me one of his closest friends. You were in rehearsal? Over the last 3 or 4, well, several months, but the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been sitting in front of Nathan Lane, rehearsing a play called The Nance by Douglas Carter Beane that was written for Nathan, that will open, produced by Lincoln Center at the Lyceum Theater in just a few weeks. Just a few weeks! I think that's the last one. He's amazing. Marshall's right. On the first day with a new play, he knows the words to a new play. And he sets the bar so high, without condescension, without hurting anybody, without exclusion, that the entire event starts to run, rise, and unfold. Now, he is that strange animal in the performing arts zoo called an actor who is also a comic. And like or unlike the work of Mr. Alexander or the work of Mr. Isaacson, who when you see or read you know is not easy, he makes it look easy. He makes you happy, and I don't know about you, but the idea of laughter to me in a room full of unlikely people is one of the great miracles of life. And people who can do it effortlessly should be raised to sainthood. In this case, he never condescends and he never, ever excludes anyone. But I happen to know from personal experience that a great actor who's a comic without a heart is dangerous. And a great actor who's a comic without intelligence is boring. But a great actor who's a comic who has heart and intelligence can be summed up in 2 words. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Lane.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack O'Brien. Jack O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen. And how about a hand for our wonderful host, Marshall Brickman. And just to clarify, you know, I didn't want you to think I had that director deported or something. You know, there were many things that happened that eventually led to his demise, but I had nothing to do with it. I was just, you know, one of the people going like this, radiating. Well, welcome, Shriners. You know, I'm looking at all of these. I'm sorry, I didn't really prepare anything. I wasn't expecting to win, but. And then this morning, you know, when Charlie Sheen announced he wanted to mentor Lindsay Lohan, I thought, well, that's the first sign of the apocalypse. What's the point of writing a speech now? But no, but sitting here, it's very humbling when you see all of these tremendous artists. So I am very honored to be here and to be included. And, you know, I am a member of the East Hampton community. I live in a little shtetl behind the movie theater where day and night I can hear people not going to my movies. It's so sad back there. It's so quiet. Anyway, it's, you've done a nice thing tonight. You're contributing to this wonderful institution, and it is where all of the culture gathers, and it is wonderful to be a part of that. And so the donations you've made tonight are so much better than, you'd only be spending it at Loaves and Fishes. Putting a down payment on the lobster salad. This is such a better thing to do. You'll feel better about yourselves. Anyway, it's interesting, these, getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, you realize you're getting older. And, but this is very moving. Recently, I did something for myself. I went to Chicago and I did a play, The Iceman Cometh, with Bob Falls and Brian Dennehy, and it was, for me, it was just a very emotional, kind of life-changing experience. And I've been doing the theater for about 37 years, and it really, I hope, well, it changed me. And it's nice to be coming back and doing something with someone as brilliant as Jack, and in this wonderful, really fascinating new play. And so I hope I can live up to this award. Thank you so much.
Okay, our next beat as we move inexorably toward the evening's end, I would like you to welcome two gentlemen who have been, I have been told, tireless, spearheading the Mickey Strauss Endowment. So please welcome Rick Reese and Eugene Zouris. Right here.
It's 50 years this year that Mickey and I have been friends. We first met in 1963 when we went to a performance of Harry Belafonte at Lincoln Center. And I got to say, it's been 50 years of just great joy, not one argument, great friends, and I'm delighted to be here and to participate in Mickey's dream of creating this wonderful endowment for Guildhall. I think many of you saw the announcement in the Journal about Mickey, and they refer to him as a man of numbers. Mickey's not a man of numbers. Mickey's a man of people. He loves people. We never even thought he would be here on time. We thought he'd be at 3 or 4 other events before he got here. I wore a tuck thinking that he'd be coming from a formal event. At least I'd make him feel comfortable. But Mickey is a people person. He's not exclusive, he's inclusive. Everybody's welcome at Mickey's. So I am very proud to be able to say that Mickey is my friend. And Mickey is a person that loves to succeed. And there's something I've always carried around with me, sort of I guess a map or a road path of life. And I think Mickey meets it in every way. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to make the world a little better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because of you. This is to have succeeded. Mickey, you've succeeded in everything you've ever done, and I'm so proud to have you as a friend.
Well, you should all be very happy to know this is the next to last introduction of the evening. Tonight we're here to honor Mickey Strauss. You have all paid handsomely for this privilege. As a matter of fact, your generosity has funded an endowment at Guildhall in the name of Melville. Someone had to use his real name at least one time tonight, and Layla Strauss, of approximately $1.1 million. To me, the key questions that I would like to ask are, who is Mickey Strauss and why are we honoring him? Here is how the people who know him best, many of them in this room, think about him. This is a real survey. If it were up to me, the descriptions might have been more truthful. First, unflappable. No matter the situation or the pressure, he is always on an even keel. He never raises his voice, displays negativity, or throws his clubs. Of course, this excludes any reference to his right leg, which is always wildly gesticulating at all times. And it conveniently overlooks his inability to putt under pressure, or putt under any circumstances. A mind like a steel trap when it comes to stocks, names, dates, and cocktail parties. Except he can never find his glasses, his iPad, his cell phone, his Metro card, or his credit cards. The last may be due less to his absent-mindedness and more by design. A perfectionist and a master of complex negotiations. I won't take issue with these, and in fact, you are all seated precisely where you requested, correct? The supreme optimist. It's true. If there's a bright side to a dire situation, Mickey will find it. Competitive? Yes, to an extreme. I can vouch for this one. There is no game, no event, no contest, and no sport in which he participates that he does not try his best to win, usually fairly and by the rules. I still hold a minor grudge for Mickey beating me 18-16 on red clay at the Villa d'Este in Lake Como the day I had arrived on an overnight flight and he had already been there for 3 days. A brilliant eye for art. Judging by the names of the artists whose works hang prominently on his walls, it's hard to dispute this one. But I know from personal experience that when I painted a black and white work on canvas as a surprise birthday present, Mickey saw it and asked if it was an early Franz Klein. Maybe he just got a little lucky in this area. So that is how some of the people describe Mickey some of the time. But all of the people who know him, not just those in this room, have 3 other phrases that they use all of the time and that are perhaps the most meaningful. Always kind, incredibly generous, and a true friend. I think these words speak for themselves. That's who he is, and that's why we're here tonight. Before you stand, you'll get a chance. But first, if there's anything else you want to know about Mickey, you're about to see it on the screen behind me.
no, they want you to come up. Come up. Just come up. Come close here. You can all sit down because we're going to say some last nice things here about Mickey. But first, I had a last-minute announcement. I know Mickey won't mind this because it means money to Guildhall. It means extra money to Guildhall. John Alexander has so generously donated signed lithographs of his signature work, which you all know is a pack of vultures pecking out the eyes of the Pope in Vatican Square with oil fields in the background. They're $14.99 a piece, 2 for $25. Please pick up a couple in the lobby on your way out. Signed lithos from John Alexander. Thank you, John. As you have seen, Mickey has had a profound impact on many of our finest arts and education institutions. However, his passion and vision have been felt most of all at our Guildhall. Under his watch, Guildhall has renovated the museum, the theater, the education center, and administration offices. We have greatly expanded our programming. Guildhall has grown into an arts center whose programming, exhibitions, and reputation reach far beyond the East End. Mickey's commitment and generosity over the past 20 years has ensured that Guildhall's legacy of cultivating and celebrating the arts will continue for generations to come. I want to just go off the script quickly to say we all know people like this in other fields that we're involved with, men or women, who really are true board chairs, who are true leaders, who get things done, who pick an organization, who pick an institution, and they say, I'm going to work for change, real change, visible change, enduring change, and they get it done. If there's a log jam, they break that log jam financially, or in terms of decision making, or in terms of people skills and so forth. This man is a great, great, great board chair and an example to all of us. It's my honor tonight to introduce my friend and Guildhall's chair and the honoree for leadership and philanthropic endeavors, Mr. Mickey Strauss.
Thank you. Thank you. If we run out of time, I would make a speech. But I really to thank you, Alec, Rick, and Jean, and the entire committee. This is such a personal evening for me, and to be surrounded by my family, friends, and Guildhall supporters. I can't tell you how appreciative I am on behalf of Guildhall and for this endowment which will endure in perpetuity. Now I'm going to turn it over to my wife because I have trouble speaking.
Well, I'm very honoured to speak on behalf of Mickey, but one thing as a slightly off track to begin with. You may have noticed the segregation of the tables. I want you to know this was a compromise. Initially, when Mickey wanted only women. Now, to get back to Mickey's acceptance remarks and the Special Achievement Award, he wanted to say that it's amazing what one can buy for $500,000. Anyway, you have to imagine this is Mickey speaking, not me. These are his words. But seriously, this honour is not at all necessary because I have gotten so much pleasure out of being the chair of Guildhall and giving back to the community I dearly love. For me, my time in East Hampton is my heaven on earth. and that I could combine my love of the arts with the opportunity to be productive made it all perfect. In fact, when asked how long I had been chair of Guildhall, up until recently I said, I don't know, about 10 years. I couldn't believe it has been 18 years. In my early philanthropic efforts, I seemed to get involved in some troubled organizations. When I went on the board of the American Ballet Theatre, it didn't have the social cachet it has today. It was the 1970s, and I literally was at their offices almost daily doing the books. Then in 1980, the bank insisted on the members of the board co-signing a bank loan. Because of that, the chair of the board resigned, and I was voted in. Mug that I was. Fortunately, attendance picked up during my tenure, the Baryshnikov years, and we were able to pay back the loan, but not without a lot of sleepless nights. Happily, my days as chair of MoMA's Contemporary Arts Council and Dartmouth's Hop Hood Museum were much less stressful. The Guildhall of today is the fulfillment of the dream I have had of what Guildhall should be and could be, and it is my hope that with the Strauss Family Endowment, a paid-off capital campaign, and with the involvement of a dedicated board and staff, Guildhall will continue to thrive for the benefit of the entire East End, for those of us who summer there, but especially for the year-round community and the local schools. I now want to say a very special thank you to the staff of Guildhall, for these are the people who really make Guildhall what it is, not me and not the board. As Executive Director, Ruth Appelhoff leads with passion, diligence, and enthusiasm. Janine Diner has done an amazing job in the financial area with few staff and always with a can-do attitude. Christina Strassfield, our museum director, has done an incredible job curating so many fabulous exhibitions. And dear Josh Gladstone is our exceptionally talented artistic director, and he was critical in implementing all of the technical aspects of our renovation. Barbara Jo Howard is our director of marketing and communications, and she has always put Guildhall's best face forward to the community and to the world. And two of the people you are all very familiar with are Kylan Kala and Genevieve Linehan. Kylan is our Director of Special Events, Membership and Annual Appeal, and Genevieve is our Director of Development. Both of them do their jobs so well that almost no one can turn them down when they come calling. Obviously, time constraints will not permit me to individually acknowledge the entire staff, but I thank all of you for all your efforts over the years. We would definitely not be the world-class institution we are without each and every one of you. And a special thank you to Kathy Rode, my assistant, who makes all things possible. In closing, I especially want to thank Bonnie and Rick Reese, Sherry Jacobson and Jean Zurif, Helen and Bob Appel, Patsy and Jeff Tarr, Diane and Tom Tuft, and Anita and Byron Ween for their amazing work in creating the endowment in my name for Guildhall. And of course, my heartfelt thanks go to all of you who contributed so generously to this endowment and to the capital campaign match. Thank you to all our co-chairs for this event tonight, and I want to say thank you to the board members past, present, and future for their dedication and commitment.
And I do have to thank one more person, and that is my wife. She has so generously shared me with Guildhall over these many years, and I as have my great kids who are all tonight. So thank you.
Well, that's it. That's our evening. Thank you for coming. It really, every year, is a little bit like a family reunion. Funny, touching. I'm sorry? Oh, the magic word, dessert? Is that what you said? Don't leave. Dessert is on its way. Thank you and good night.